How about an encore? Did you really think I'd leave it at that? How about some more? But this time a slightly different tact. Still romance, but this time we're going to be sticking to Britain. We're going to be sticking to Birmingham, and hopefully I'm the right way round. Apologies for giving you all neck ache earlier, but I'm back. And for now, just before dinner time, well, lunchtime, depending on where you are, tonight's last offering is from this, Kangana. Kangana had a good week last week. People in the States, people in the UK read it, and there was really, I can't speak, you can tell I'm hungry. It was really good to receive some reviews, positive feedback on a story that's really meaningful, and a story that is based on many parts of Birmingham. If you know Birmingham at all, you know about the BMAG, the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. You might know Sayre Hole Mill, the Sea Life Centre. But that isn't actually where tonight's snippet is from. Tonight's snippet, this is going to be one of those sessions, isn't it? Tonight's snippet is actually set on the southeast coast of Britain. It's actually based in Brighton, so south of Birmingham. Most places are south of Birmingham, and that is where we find our characters. That is where we find Gorbind and Padmi. So, better find my beer mat so I don't lose my place. It's okay, that is tea. It's a well brewed cup of tea, cold and about halfway down. So, every now and again, Gorbind flexed his ankle and dropped his foot to the rubber mat in the footwell. Had he been in the driving seat, this reflex would have seen him braking to moderate speed. As he was in the passenger seat of Padmi's compact Toyota. Gorbind was therefore uncomfortable. The speeding was one thing, but he also had to cope with a lack of legroom. He is about 6 foot tall, though. He was sat awkwardly, with his back to the driver in question, and with one hand on the handle above his head as he held on for dear life. This was not a particularly pleasant experience. "It wouldn't kill you to slow down," he grumbled. Gorbind momentarily gulped down the rapidly rising contents of an unsettled stomach. "We're not in a hurry. Plus, why do we have to leave so early?" He had tried to sleep over the last 2 hours. However, the journey had felt far from smooth, and there was still another 2 hours to go. He really, really disliked not being in the driving seat. Padmi shook her head, not taking her eyes off the road. He saw her eyelashes flutter from behind the lenses of her oversized designer sunglasses. The sun was starting to fill the sky to better illuminate their route towards Brighton. Having sunglasses on at this time of day made no sense to him whatsoever. "If you and Arjun hadn't drunk so much, you'd be all right," she said, fiddling with the air conditioning and directing a vent towards him. A cold pulse of air hit him squarely on the jaw. Gorbind shuffled around as he tried to get more comfortable and tugged at his seatbelt. "Didn't drink that much," he muttered. "Just forgot to eat beforehand. We bought snacks." "Yes?" he asked, catching sight of a blue carrier bag that was nestled at his feet. There was also a thermos flask sitting on its side. "Nani packed you parantas," replied Padmi, as she flicked the indicator stalk to smoothly change lanes. Hauling the bag into his lap, Gorbind rummaged inside. There were a couple of bottles of water, a stash of chocolate bars, and a sharing bag of crisps. "Hello, Ellie." Last but not least, he found a lumpy aluminium foil package that barely contained the scent of spiced potatoes. Cumin. Gorbind recognised the unforgettable scent of cumin. As he unwrapped the shiny foil, he then had to get past sheets of kitchen roll that was spotted with ghee and a multicoloured duck motif. Gorbind counted the stack of stuffed chapatis. 6, he said, turning a little towards Padmi. "Apparently, Nani expects us to eat 6 parantas between us." "I'd eat 3, nodded Padmi, her lips parting into a pearly white smile that caught the sun. "Nani makes awesome parantas." "The sort that send you into a food coma." Gorbin chuckled as he folded one into halves and tore it down the middle. "The sort that are filled with love, Gorbin," said Padme. Her hand drifted from the wheel and towards the half burrata. "Give me a bit. Tear some off for me." Doing as he was told, Gorbin pinched off a tiny, flaky, ghee-imbued morsel and dropped it into Padme's palm. No sooner had he dropped it into her palm, Padme lifted it away. Cupping her fingers, she tossed the morsel into her mouth. "Should I even ask," he posed, "what we're doing beside the seaside, and whether or not I should have worried? God forbid you drag me to the beach for a here-to-eternity moment." Padme gave something of a dry laugh. Her eyes flicked briefly towards him from away from the road. "That'll be rather interesting, what with all the shingle in your creases." She even smirked a bit. "Just relax," she said gently. "Shingle," he tutted. Gorbin carried on tearing his burrata into pieces, this time for himself. "I just want to know what you plan to do with me exactly." "Have this weekend," she said. "You, me, sea, sand, and stuff," she promised. "Don't call this a dirty weekend, Gorbin." He narrowed his eyes, wondering if Padme was to rise to his mimicry. "Give me some more burrata, please," she said, putting out her palm once more. "I lied. If this isn't a dirty weekend, I will be sorely disappointed." Gorbin's ears pricked up. His stomach forgot that it was unsettled. His gut actually fizzled with excitement instead. "No disappointment, then," he said, handing over bits of burrata. "Do with me as you wish. I shall comply." So off they go, down the road, towards Brighton. What happens next? Bleary-eyed, Gorbin opened the curtains a smidgen. He peered through the gap and winced. A huge yellow ball of fire was suspended across an endless panel of blue. "Hello, Maria, how are you?" Below the skyline, water sparkled and shimmered as it rippled towards the shore and back. On the far left of the vista, Brighton Pier jutted out into the sea. At the end of the pier, a Ferris wheel, span slowly. From the seafront hotel, he could see bodies bob and bounce across shingle that was strewn with brightly coloured beach towels. Probably not going to happen right now, people. Socially distanced, remember. The weather forecast for the weekend had been freakishly good for the middle of British summertime. People were quite rightly making the most of it. Don't do it right now. Warm weather in Blighty didn't tend to happen very often, or at least for that long. He wanted to enjoy it too. Being beside the seaside was wonderfully therapeutic. As children, he and Arjun had made several trips to Skeggy with their Auntie Leela. Donkey rides and homemade picnics had always been part of the annual family day trip. To this day, there was something strangely soothing and wonderfully hypnotic about being sat on the sand, watching the sea caress the sand as it ebbed back and forth. Hold on, parent.
Dad, tell what you want.
I'll come down, don't worry. Sorry. The rolling tide stirred his soul and helped Gorbin feel an almost ethereal sense of peace. The sort of peace that money couldn't buy and only love could help you appreciate. Gorbin drew back the curtains, let out a deep, all-encompassing yawn. The early start had caught up with him. He had caught up with them both. Feeling tiredness tug at his every limb, he yawned widely, get my English out, whilst he stretched his arms out. He padded back towards a mound of white duvet that was heaped upon a double bed. "Are you coming back in?" A hand snaked out from below the heap as Gorbin sat down next to it. It didn't take long before Padme pulled him in and back below the mound. "It's really beautiful outside," Gorbin half-heartedly protested. "Sun's out and everything," he added, unable to resist as Padme pulled him closer towards the centre of the heaped duvet. "Out there the shingle would hurt," said Padme. Her fingers had already made short work of removing his boxers. "Being here is, a bit more comfortable." Conceding defeat, Gorbin forgot about the sunshine. He had a whole weekend. When he looked, the sun will stick around. Does it? Sunshine on a Saturday felt more special compared to any other day, especially when enjoyed with an ice cream and a pint at the seaside. Taking a mouthful of a cold, crisp, extremely blonde lager, Gorbin savoured it with his soul. His ice cream was in a small plastic bowl and starting to form a puddle dotted with brightly coloured sugar strands. How are the feet, champ? Asked Padme, peering over the large ovals of her sunglasses. Sore? A little, he said, glancing down at the chestnut-coloured sandals that Padme had insisted he bring with him. He'd purchased them under duress too. So far, the footwear had proved really quite useful. She had dragged him almost everywhere around Brighton. There had been the lanes, the pavilion, and this afternoon the shore. But your shoulders are far worse, he said, pointing at the splodges of red that were visible either side over the bright orange spaghetti straps. Padme looked at him confused. Her brows had knitted together quite tightly. She momentarily pursed her lips together before looking at each shoulder. Ow, she grimaced, having surveyed the damage. Didn't think I needed sunscreen. This is Britain, after all, not Fuerteventura. Reaching into a pink and white striped beach bag that was sat next to her feet, Corbin took out a bottle of sunscreen. Rule nothing out, he said, opening the bottle as he got out of his seat. I do have my uses, he said, squirting some of the sunscreen into his hand. He gave the bottle to Padme to stand behind her. You are becoming wonderfully well trained. Padme closed her eyes as Corbin followed the curve of her shoulders to slowly, systematically apply sunscreen. Padme's burnt bits felt as though they were radiating heat towards his fingers. Hold your breath now. I like every inch of you, you see. Corbin had bent slightly to whisper into her ear. And I'd rather there weren't any burnt bits. Hello, Jill, how are you? I'd look after them, though. I'd look after every part of you. He'd finished slathering on sun protection. Try saying that quickly. Sliding his arm around her shoulder, he kissed top of her head. Would you really, he asked, holding his one hand as he sat next to her again. Look after me, every single bit. Probably. And who knows in what way. So that was tonight's encore, and that was Kangana. A story, a romance with a bit of difference. Has more than one layer. Apparently, is about personal development and people's journeys. I shall leave it to you to find out and to read, to enjoy, and hopefully it's given you a little bit of brightness, a little bit of joy. And who knows, maybe I will be back. Maybe there may be twice in one evening, who knows. But as I said before, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the bank holiday. Stay safe. Stay socially distanced. You know it's sensible. You know you have to. Stay indoors. Stay safe. Read books instead. Good night.